What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. Today, we're going to keep come in here and just talk about some intimacy. We're going to talk about sex, and we're going to talk about some bold, raw, real truths around that. We kind of have like 4 bullet points that we just did a reel on over the past couple of days and dropped it on. We're like, man, that would be a really great one to go more in depth on, babe, because I know sometimes what people on social media will say us, they're like, well, there's so much more to that and that. And I'm like, yeah, we have 30 seconds, people, on the reels, 60 at the best to explain this. We can't give every single thing in a 60-second reel.
Right.
If you want us to, we would have to just upload 8,000 of them a day. So that's not possible. So anyways, guys, we're going to come in here and talk about that, babe. But before I kind of get into the bullet points, one thing that was kind of just popped to my mind was like some do's and some don'ts and some, a lot of people, especially Christians, are like, well, what is acceptable in marriage and what's not? And so many Christians, because technically, well, not technically, we are not supposed to have sex before we're married.
Right.
I'm not saying we waited because we were heathens before we were married, and then we found Christ. But there's so many things we could touch on that of like how that impacts a marriage negatively. But anyways, so you're not, so then you have like these tightness around it of like, well, what can I do? What can I do? You feel sex is like bad, so you should just lay there missionary the whole time. There shouldn't be no oral, there should be no nothing. And that's what it is. And then sometimes the man is like, well, dude, I want more stuff than that, because maybe men are a little bit more rambunctious in that. And then the wives are kind of like, well, I don't know. And then we start feeling all these other things. And so one of the questions, and it was kind of a long intro on that, babe, was we get quite a bit. I get asked and you get quite a bit asked in your DMs is like, hey, is it okay for us in sex to do X, Y, and Z? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll be, a lot of it's like, I think it's sometimes like I just say like around oral or different positions.
Toys sometimes, like things like that too.
Yeah. And so I know that's a question that we get quite a bit. And so I wanted to just come in here and kind of just clarify some things on this. I'm not God, obviously. Yeah, that's a very kind of a dumb statement. But so I don't make the rules.
Right.
But what I do know is that sex is supposed to be amazing and enjoyable. And what I know about life, you're supposed to mix it up. If all you did every day was watch the same episode of TV show every single day, like the season 2, episode 3, and you watch that same season 2, episode 3 every single day, and all you did was eat the exact same food every day, and you did everything at the exact same time every single day, and you never did anything differently, life would suck. And God would look at you and go, you're an idiot. And he wouldn't call you probably an idiot, but he'd be like, you're doing it completely wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what about intimacy is too. It's supposed to be free flowing. It's supposed to be passionate. You're supposed to mix it up. You're supposed to do all these things. But with that being said, we have personal convictions that we have to work through.
Right.
And there's been times in our sex life where we've just pushed the limits. And no, guys, that's not like us bringing people in or things like that. And no, never do that. I'll tell you, whether you're Christian or you're not, never do that. I've never, ever seen that play out good. Just in a secular point of view, in a Christian point of view, that definitely don't do it. But what I think that really is whether that's oral or different positions or toys or things like that, comes down to your personal convictions.
Right. Yeah, because we've done certain things and we're like, we feel like our hearts are kind of convicting us that this isn't right, and so you make those changes, but you don't know sometimes until you get to that point.
And so with that though, guys, because one of the 4 things is, and I'll just touch on this right now. I'll touch on the second point, which is to mix things up, since we're kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
Be open to new positions, new places, and new times. So often couples wait to the final end of the day, and when they're tired, their cup's empty. I don't care who you are, dude. Like, I love sex just as much as the next man. But sometimes by the end of the day, I'm like, I'm kind of tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have way rather did it 4 hours ago when I was just like full of energy and things like that. But what I'm saying about mixing it up, just because you tried something one time 8 years ago doesn't mean that you won't enjoy it 8 years later.
Absolutely.
So be open to things, whether that's positions, possibly bringing in some toys, and times, all of that
Places,
places.
check out the guest room instead of your bedroom, or things like that.
Be spontaneous, give the kids a tablet, do these different things like that, and don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps it fun, it keeps it exciting, and don't all that other stuff. Try it. Be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
If you still don't like it, just tell your partner, hey, we did that again and I didn't like it. They will be they'll be stoked that you tried, right?
Absolutely, because I mean, we've said this a million times. I used to be the no girl, and that was in all areas. It was like, nope, I don't want to try that. I don't want to do that. And so if you just automatically say no, you're just going off of what your answer is, not just actually trying it to see if you actually really like it.
And dude, when you just say that right there, babe, like that's almost like I have PTSD
Uh-oh.
of you when you said no. Like I just looked at this look on your face and you said no, and you give me this like this look that you do this like little head shake, like no. And I remember times for the bedroom,
Yeah.
I would bring up something, and you'd be like, no,
No.
no,
No.
no, I don't like that. And I'd be like, babe, that was 8 years ago we tried it, 7 years ago we tried it, or 12 years ago, or with somebody else, and I never tried it with you, and you did, and you're like, yeah, but I didn't like it. And it's like, okay, you didn't like that 12 years ago when you were a completely different person. Like we change, we grow and evolve. And so what it brings up frustrations and resentment in you when you're just like, no, this is what it is. Nah, eh. It's like, but when you said, okay, I was just happy that you were okay with trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
That for me was like, if you did it and it was like, I don't like that. No worries. I'm completely good. I have no frustration, no resentment, no nothing at that point. Nothing. I'm good. But then when you say, no, I'm like, well, you're not even doing anything to try it. And so when you got to that point, it was great for our relationship, because then I remember we actually found some things that we really enjoyed, but then also it took a lot of pressure off it because I wasn't just looking at my wife as a prude who just wanted to lay there.
Right.
So that was a huge part of it. And but what was crazy was that went direct correlation. When you're willing to try something in the bedroom, maybe it's because you were willing to try something and go to the gym, or maybe you were willing to go do something new that you've never done. Maybe you were willing to pray over your spouse. Maybe you were willing to join a Bible study. Maybe you were willing to do something new, and you just get used to doing new things, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, relationally, anything new. When you say new to new opportunities, it makes life so much better.
Right.
Be open to it. Guys, this is more than the bedroom. Be open to other things in all areas of life. Try it out. We always say this, one of the biggest deciding factors in our life was when you said yes to go to a kickboxing class.
Yes. Yeah, because it opened the doors to say yes to other things.
And that was the next thing.
Right.
And you were like, well, that wasn't so bad. And I was like, babe, I think we should get some kayaks. You're like, oh, I could just see you before. I don't know. Like, I don't want to go on the water. And it was like, okay. And we got them and we loved it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it was the next thing. And then it was the next thing. And then God kept, he can be trusted with little, can be trusted with many. Then it was the next thing, that bigger thing. Then he gave us this business. Then he had moved us to Vegas. He had put us in circles of high level people. And it's like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And it all starts from just doing the little things on that. So guys, but you have to know your convictions, because there was times where, like we said, we've pushed the limits on some stuff and we were like, nah, I don't think so.
Right.
Not saying we'll never go back to and try things later on, but we've kind of dabbled with enough things now. We're like, okay, but we talk about it. And that's the next thing, guys, is like the next tip. Talk about it. So number one, mix things up. Number two, talk about things.
Yeah, you have to have communication on those things. If we just all of a sudden said, no, I don't want to do that again, but you're not explaining why or what your heart felt in that moment, or, whatever that may be.
Exactly. Because you might try it and then be like, that hurt.
Right.
Okay, well, did that hurt emotionally, physically? What was going on? Or like, I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it. So, well, what about that didn't you feel good about? Like, right. I don't know. This is what I was thinking. I don't know. I just thought about da, 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 da. And then you can talk about that as a couple, not like frustrated, like, oh, really? You're going to compare yourself to this? Or be like, well, I guess I never thought about that before. And then just keep asking and listening and not trying to convince anything.
Yes, because then if you try to convince somebody of something like that, then they're not going to want to try things in the future, because they're going to think that you're just going to do it all over again and just convince them again, or try to talk them into things that you're, really actually not okay with.
I never want to have sex with you if I have to convince you. And like, come on, babe, it's been 3 days. Or come on, babe, try this. You never want to try anything new. Like, that's not enjoyable.
And it's not attractive either.
No. Your wife is not going to chase you down. One, that's just putting another nail in the coffin for the intimacy, because they're like, okay, now this isn't fun. He's forcing it. Now you're not in the mood. So then when you have go in it and you're not in the mood, then you do it. You're like, well, this isn't that fun. Maybe eventually you get there and you actually get to get off, but still it was like, man, that was a long process. It wasn't that great. When you're like, there's no pressure around it. It's fun with anything on in life that's what it is. So talk about it, break things down, like things that you like. Maybe I want to try this. Maybe I don't. This is what I am curious. This is why. I don't know. Talk about all of that stuff, but with no pressure on it. So talk about things, debrief, break things down. We are always talking about different things in that department, which is why it's kept it growing in so many different ways.
For sure.
Then, and so I just want to, I guess we'll just keep going. I guess just on the mix things up, one thing I do want to do is just know your convictions on that, guys. And so that God says, for some people it's okay to eat meat, some it's not. And like just different things are different for other people. You'll know your convictions, and God knows your heart better than you know it. So if you're feeling convicted and you did it, then just stop. It's okay. Just because somebody else is in their sex life are doing it, maybe me and Dianne are doing it, that might be not okay for you, but it might be okay for us. We don't feel convicted about throwing in I guess if we're just the bold and real raw ones, that might be like, we sometimes will mix in like a vibrator here and there, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, we're not cool with.
Right.
And so, but that's okay for us. But if you feel convicted on that, don't do it.
Right.
Try it.
Right.
But if you feel convicted, don't do it. And that's okay. But we feel okay with that.
And we've communicated that with each other.
If that changes, we'll communicate that with each other.
Right. Yeah. If one of us feels like our heart is convicted on that we shouldn't anymore, then we'll talk to the other person. The other person is always open to hearing that and making a decision not to do it because it's convicting the other person.
Right. And stop being immature about this topic. Everybody, we've joked about this before. People can fart around each other, take craps in front of each other, go to the bathrooms in front of each other, do all this stuff, talk about their periods. Can you pick me up some tampons? Oh my God, I'm so bloated. All this stuff.
But you can't talk about sex.
But yet you're wanting to get naked and do crazy things together, but you can't talk about it. Right. Come on now.
Yeah.
Grow a freaking pair of balls. Or if you're a woman, don't grow a pair of balls. But grow some courage. Yeah. Amen. See, to become one. Really. And just talk about it. And the more you get comfortable talking about it, it is a little awkward at first. It was awkward for us at first.
Right.
Now it's here. We're on a podcast telling everybody our sex life to millions of people. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And here we are. And so it's like, that's how it went from us not even able to talk about it to us. Now we talk it to millions. Yeah. So it's wild how that actually happens. The third one would be extremely intentional and consistent with this, and do not let life get in the way of this. I see some people, well, we got to wait till later, or the kids are up, or I don't know. When would you say our best sexual experiences are? The only reason we're being a little bit quieter is because the kids are in the other room.
During the day.
During the day.
Yeah. Like during the day when, we have a few minute break, or maybe more than a few minutes, but a little bit of a break in between or something like that. It's when we feel energized and we, you can really get into it.
Yeah. And so, dude, guys, sometimes the kids are up roaming about the house. Guess what? We lock our bedroom door. And we don't always lock our bedroom door. So they probably know what's going on. I don't care. I would rather have an amazing experience with my wife that's going to keep my marriage growing, and our kids know it's not like she's in there and we're just putting on a spectacle where she's just yelling and screaming at the top of her lungs with pleasure, which you'll keep it under wraps during those times. And other times when they're not around, then you let it loose. But it's like, guys, if you just try to wait for the perfect time, there is no ever perfect time. And I'll be real with you. It's so much more pleasurable and enjoyable when it's spontaneous, because it's just not planned. I hate planned sex. Right. Is it better than nothing? Yes, but I hate it.
Right. And when you try to wait for that perfect moment, that's when it ends up not happening. That's when you're like, oh, let's wait till later when the kids are, whatever, we have more time. And then somebody's tired or somebody has a headache or, whatever that may be. And then it never happens. And then it's like a month down the road because you're waiting for the perfect time, and that perfect time is never going to be there.
Especially everybody who has kids, name a time they went to bed just perfect. No, I'm thirsty. I got this. Or they spilt something, or they need to change pajamas, or even if they're older, they got something going on. You had to have a talk with them. All these other things never goes perfect. And then you realize, oh crap, I forgot to turn the laundry back on. Then you got to go in there and I got to do this. The next thing you know, it's late, it's tired, and now you don't really want to do it. And it's just like, and it's not a memorable thing. Make it happen during the day. Keep it consistent. Never go longer than 72 hours. I know one of our reels says a minimum 52 times a year. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah,
But
once a
our
week.
rule is like literally like make it happen every 72 hours and you're good. Nope. One person's going to be like, that's not enough. And if you have a problem where you're like, that's not enough, you got a problem. Believe me, your sex drive ain't higher than mine. My testosterone run it very hot. So I promise you, your sex drive is not higher than mine or other dudes. It's that becomes an idol for you, and that becomes a dopamine hit to try to push down some of your traumas and your stresses of life. That's what you're using it for, and it becomes a dangerous spot when that's what it's being used for, rather than just to love on each other.
Right.
And the last one is this one right here. Take care of yourself. We got to rip through this one because we got to get out of here. But take care of yourself is not like masturbating. Take care of yourself is make sure that you're physically, mentally, and spiritually on point so you're confident, because when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. A person that is looking good is attractive. When you're emotionally stable, it's attractive. When you're spiritually on fire, it's attractive. And don't just mail it in and throw on some, for guys, let your hair get scraggly and your beard get out of control and wear the same clothes and then get out of shape and anything like that. Because I promise you, we work with an insane amount of people, and a good portion of those people, guess where they are? Out of shape.
Right.
Do you think that they're having marriage problems because of that? It's a big part of it, because it's not,
Yeah.
because your body screams undiscipline.
Right. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, the looks isn't the problem. I like them that way or whatever." But I guarantee if they were like in shape and they look good and they smelt good and they were clean and hair, done and stuff, that you're
It
going to be
helps.
that much more attractive to them.
You feel better about yourself when your
Absolutely.
hair get a fresh haircut, when you got a new outfit on, all of that. You feel great. So that's not just about them, it's for yourself as well.
Mhm.
Make sure you're kept for yourself.
Mhm.
I feel so much better about myself when I have a fresh haircut and I just, like I said, got a new outfit on or whatever, or in the morning when I get dressed. And you always say it's when you put your makeup on. So
Mhm.
many people just mailed it in.
I think that's what I feel like for women too. I think that's a big thing also, is because especially if they're like a stay-at-home parent or something, and they're sitting at home in their sweatpants or their yoga pants or whatever, in a t-shirt or something, they don't get ready for the day, they don't put makeup on, and it's fine if you don't wear makeup, but like, just taking care of yourself, and then you don't feel attractive, so you don't feel like, you know getting it on, maybe put some
Exactly.
sexy bra and panties on underneath that, make yourself feel a little bit better or something, do
Get
something to
done
like,
every day. If you're a
yeah,
stay-at-home mom, you
yeah,
don't have to put a pantsuit on.
right,
Take care of yourself.
right, yeah,
And men, same thing. Don't just come
yes,
home from work and stay in your dirty, stinky clothes and put on some old sweatpants that are holey and baggy and all this crap. No, like make sure you look good.
yes.
We did a reel years ago. It was about, and when we held up different panties, one of them was like a G string, and that was like engaged or dating. Then when it was married, it was a like full back cotton panties.
Like
Then it
granny
was like
panties.
divorced, and it was like a G string again. It's
Yeah,
so true. That's why you see people who are overweight when they're married, and they get divorced. What do? They get in shape. It's what happens majority of the time.
yeah,
Don't wait for those times, because you're back on the hunt. You should be on the hunt like never before when you're married, not when you're single. You should be even more when you're married. And so you take care of yourself, because that's for yourself, but then your spouse will see that as well. It goes both ways. So guys, we got to get out of here. But if you want a little bit more on how to attract your spouse, how to have an amazing marriage, I'm putting a free resource below. Go through it, watch that training. I promise you it changes life. Our brotherhood of men in our coaching community are getting mind-blowing transformations in like days for some of them. And it's wild what's happening in there. Also, if you could just rate this podcast 5 stars, it's growing really fast right now. And it's literally men are finding Jesus and having amazing marriages because of it. It just really means the world to us. And it's also part of the ministry. So guys, God bless you. Much love and have a great day.
bye.